Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to Saturday Livestream. I don't have a today in history for you, but I did hear that sometime this week, not sure when, that Prince Philip, who was Queen Elizabeth's husband, died. Now, it's sad when anyone dies, but to tell you the truth, dying is part of living. No getting around it. Um, and you can't really feel sorry for the dude because he was like 99 years old. Um, you know, I do feel sad. I feel sad for the family, you know, but at any rate, um, that wasn't today, by the way. That was sometime this past week, I think. But anyway, so we're just going to go on to the main event, which is making fun of the Bible. And today we are starting in Leviticus chapter 22, verse 1. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons to treat with respect the sacred offerings the Israelites consecrate to me, so they will not profane my holy name. I am the Lord." He loves to say, "I am the Lord." Like, we get it, God. You don't need to keep saying that every other sentence. Verse 3. Say to them, for the generations to come, if any of your descendants is ceremonially unclean, and yet comes near the sacred offerings that the Israelites consecrate to the Lord, that person must be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord. If a descendant of Aaron has a defiling skin disease or a bodily discharge, he may not eat the sacred offerings until he is cleansed. He will also be unclean if he touches something defiled by a corpse or by anyone who has an emission of semen, or if he touches any crawling thing that makes him unclean, or any person who makes him unclean, whatever the uncleanness may be. Okay. Well, you know what? Wet dreams are normal. So what are you gonna do? And semen is a bodily discharge. The one who touches any such thing will be unclean till evening. He must not eat any of the sacred offerings unless he has bathed himself with water. When the sun goes down, he will be clean, and after that he may eat the sacred offerings, for they are his food. He must not eat anything found dead or torn by wild animals, and so become unclean through it. I am the Lord. Again, why are you repeating? It sounds like God is I don't know, uh, I would like to say asshole, but let's say insecure asshole. Verse 9. The priests are to perform my service in such a way that they do not become guilty and die for treating it with contempt. I am the Lord who makes them holy. We get it already, God. Verse 10. No one outside a priest's family may eat the sacred offering, nor may the guest of a priest or his hired worker eat it. But if a priest buys a slave with money, or if slaves are born in his household, they may eat his food. Again, slavery. And slavery is not frowned upon in the Bible. And it doesn't say that, hey, you know what? God's against slavery, but you guys are kind of used to it, so I'll let you get around it. Verse 12. If a priest's daughter marries anyone other than a priest, she may not eat any of the sacred contributions. But if a priest's daughter becomes a widow or is divorced, yet has no children, and she returns to live in her father's household, as in her youth, she may eat her father's food. No unauthorized person, however, may eat it. That just doesn't make any goddamn sense. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. Verse 14. Anyone who eats a sacred offering by mistake must make restitution. If it's by mistake, how the hell are they supposed to know that they ate it by mistake? That doesn't make any sense. Anyone who eats a sacred offering by mistake must make restitution to the priest for the offering and add a fifth of the value to it. Why? Hey, happy humanist. Why? First of all, why should they make restitution for eating something? I mean, obviously, if they stole it, it's one thing. And then adding a fifth of the value to it, that makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. Verse 15. The priests must not desecrate the sacred offerings the Israelites present to the Lord by allowing them to eat the sacred offerings and so bring upon them guilt requiring payment. I am the Lord who makes them holy. We get it already, God. You are God who makes them holy. By the way, God, you have the power to forgive sin. So why the hell don't you just forgive this shit instead of requiring a bunch of jumping through hoops? Verse 17. The Lord said to Moses, speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the Israelites and say to them, if any of you, whether an Israelite or a foreigner residing in Israel, presents a gift for a burnt offering to the Lord, either to fulfill a vow or as a freewill offering, you must present a male without defect from the cattle, sheep, or goats in order that it may be accepted on your behalf. Okay, again, I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. If it is an offering, God, why the hell are you so picky? Verse 20. Do not bring anything with a defect, because it will not be accepted on your behalf. When anyone brings from the herd or flock a fellowship offering to the Lord to fulfill a special vow or as a freewill offering, it must be without defect or blemish to be acceptable. Do not offer to the Lord the blind, the injured, or the maimed, or anything with warts, or festering, or running sores. Do not place any of these on the altar as a food offering presented to the Lord. You may, however, present as a freewill offering an ox or a sheep that is deformed or stunted, but it will not be accepted in fulfillment of a vow. Well, gee, God, that's very kind of you. Verse 24. You must not offer to the Lord an animal whose testicles are bruised, crushed, torn, or cut. You must not do this in your own land, and you must not accept such animals from the hand of a foreigner and offer them as the food of your God. They will not be accepted on your behalf because they are deformed and have defects. I have not figured out why this God is so goddamn focused on genitals. Verse 26. The Lord said to Moses, when a calf, a lamb, or a goat is born, it is to remain with its mother for 7 days. From the 8th day on, it will be acceptable as a food offering presented to the Lord. Why? Let it grow up, for God's sake. Verse 28. Do not slaughter a cow or a sheep and its young on the same day. Useless rules, God, useless rules. When you sacrifice a thank offering to the Lord, sacrifice it in such a way that it will be accepted on your behalf. It must be eaten that same day. Leave none of it till morning. I am the Lord. You know, God, you can make this a hell of a lot easier to read if you stop repeating, I am the Lord. Like I said before, it makes you sound like an insecure asshole. Verse 31. Keep my commands and follow them. I am the Lord. Do not profane my holy name, for I must be acknowledged as holy by the Israelites. Why? Why does anybody need to acknowledge you as holy? Why? I am the Lord who made you holy and who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. No, you didn't, God. The Exodus never happened. I mean, I know we're still in Leviticus, but seriously, I mean, the Pentateuch wasn't written by Moses, people. Hey, junk shop library. Chapter 23. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, these are my appointed festivals, the appointed festivals of the Lord, which you are to proclaim as sacred assemblies. There are 6 days when you may work, but the seventh day is a day of Sabbath rest, a day of sacred assembly. You are not to do any work wherever you live. It is a Sabbath to the Lord. Like I said before, you know, it really isn't a woman's choice to go into labor. You know, babies come whenever they want to come. Just saying. Verse 4, these are the Lord's appointed festivals, the sacred assemblies you are to proclaim at their appointed times. The Lord's Passover begins at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. On the 15th day of that month, the Lord's festival of unleavened bread begins. For 7 days you must eat bread made without yeast. On the first day, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. For 7 days, present a food offering to the Lord. And on the 7th day, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. So, do no regular work. Does that mean that they can do, like, unregular work? Define your terms, God. Verse 9. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land I am going to give you and you reap its harvest, bring to the priests a sheaf of the first grain you harvest. He is to wave the sheaf before the Lord, so it will be accepted on your behalf. And the priest is to wave it on the day after the Sabbath. This makes no goddamn sense. What the fuck is a wave offering? Verse 12. On the day you wave the sheaf, you must sacrifice as a burnt offering to the Lord a lamb a year old without defect, together with its grain offering of 2/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with olive oil, a food offering presented to the Lord, a pleasing aroma, and its drink offering of 1/4 of a hin of wine. You must not eat any bread or roasted or new grain until the very day you bring this offering to your God. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come, wherever you live. Why? Why the goddamn fuck are you wanting this of your people? You know what, God? If I was an Israelite, I would say, fuck you, and just leave. Verse 15. From the day after the Sabbath, the day you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, count off 7 full weeks. Count off 50 days up to the day after the 7th Sabbath, and then present an offering of new grain to the Lord. From wherever you live, bring 2 loaves made of 2/10 of an ephah of the finest flour baked with yeast as a wave offering of first fruits to the Lord. This makes no goddamn sense. No goddamn sense whatsoever. Of course, we're talking about something that doesn't even... whatever. Verse 18. Present with this bread 7 male lambs. Oh, so now you're getting greedy. God damn it. 7 male lambs, each a year old and without defect, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. Why? Why the fuck should we present 7 male lambs, a bull, and 2 rams. Why the fuck should we do that? They will be a burnt offering to the Lord together with their grain offerings and drink offerings, a food offering, and aroma pleasing to the Lord. Then sacrifice 1 male goat for a sin offering, and 2 lambs, each a year old, for a fellowship offering. When are the priests supposed to, sleep? Verse 20. The priest is to wave the 2 lambs before the Lord as a wave offering, together with the bread of the first fruits. They are a sacred offering to the Lord for the priest. Whatever, on that same day, you are to proclaim a sacred assembly and do no regular work. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come, wherever you live. So I guess they can do, irregular work. Verse 22. When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Leave them for the poor and for the foreigner residing among you. I am the Lord your God. You don't have to keep reminding us, God. But I do have to say that that is a pretty good rule. Leave, the gleanings for the poor. Verse 23. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, on the first day of the seventh month, you are to have a day of Sabbath rest, a sacred assembly commemorated with trumpet blasts. Hey, ugly watchtower. Verse 28, do not do any work on that day, because it is the day of atonement, when atonement is made for you before the Lord your God. Those who do not deny themselves on that day must be cut off from their people. Deny themselves from what? Hey, Marianne. Sex? Food? Water? Going to the bathroom? What exactly are they supposed to deny themselves? Verse 30. I will destroy from among their people anyone who does any work on that day. You shall do no work at all. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come wherever you live. It is a day of Sabbath rest for you, and you must deny yourselves. From the evening of the 9th day of the month until the following evening, you are to observe your Sabbath. Yes, ugly watchtower. But like I said, can't talk today. Sabbath never happened. I mean, the Exodus never happened. What am I saying? The Sabbath never happened. The Exodus never happened. Verse 33, the Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, on the 15th day of the 7th month, the Lord's festival of tabernacles begins, and it lasts for 7 days. The first day is a sacred assembly, do no regular work. For 7 days, present food offerings to the Lord, and on the 8th day, hold a sacred assembly and present a food offering to the Lord. It is the closing special assembly. Do no regular work. Honestly, God, seriously, you expect like half of the goddamn year for the Israelites to do no work. Now, luckily for all of us, this is a bunch of bullshit. But if it was real, you expect the Israelites to do no work for at least half the year. Total bullshit. I agree, Ugly Watchtower. Verse 37, these are the Lord's appointed festivals, which you are to proclaim as sacred assemblies, for bringing food offerings to the Lord, the burnt offerings and grain offerings, sacrifices and drink offerings required for each day. These offerings are in addition to those for the Lord's Sabbaths, and in addition to your gifts, and whatever you have vowed, and all the freewill offerings you give to the Lord. Thanks, God. Thank you very, very much. Hey, Nevermore. I mean, the Israelites are not going to have any goddamn animals after you get done getting all of your festival shit out of the way and all of your free will and all of your burnt offerings and all of your other shit. They're not going to have anything. I agree, Ugly Watchtower. I agree. Moving on. 39. So the beginning of the 15th day of the 7th month, after you have gathered the crops of the land, celebrate the festival to the Lord for 7 days. The first day is a day of Sabbath rest, and the 8th day also is a day of Sabbath rest. On the first day, you are to take branches from luxuriant trees and rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. Celebrate this as a festival to the Lord for 7 days each year. This is to be a lasting ordinance for generations to come. Celebrate it in the 7th month. Live in temporary shelters for 7 days. All native-born Israelites are to live in such shelters, so your descendants will know that I had the Israelites live in temporary shelters when I brought them out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So Moses announced to the Israelites the appointed festivals of the Lord. Actually, there are still people in the Middle East that, live in temporary shelters. They live in like tents. They're almost like nomads. Chapter 24. The Lord said to Moses, command the Israelites to bring you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, so that the lamps may be kept burning continually. Outside the curtain that shields the Ark of the Covenant law in the tent of meeting, Aaron is to tend the lamps before the Lord from evening till morning continually. So when is the guy supposed to sleep? Seriously. He's supposed to, sacrifice shit all day and then be up all night tending the oil lamps. Talk about unreasonable. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. The lamps on the pure gold lampstand before the Lord must be tended continually. Take the finest flour and bake 12 loaves of bread, using 2/10 of an ephah for each loaf. Arrange them in 2 stacks, 6 in each stack, on the table of pure gold before the Lord. By each stack, put some pure incense as a memorial portion to represent the bread and to be a food offering presented to the Lord. Yes, never more olives. Why do you need food, God? Seriously, why do you need food? Verse 8, this bread is to be set out before the Lord regularly, Sabbath after Sabbath, on behalf of the Israelites as a lasting covenant. It belongs to Aaron and his sons, who are to eat it in the sanctuary area, because it is the most holy part of their perpetual share of the food offerings presented to the Lord. Now the son of an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father went out among the Israelites, and a fight broke out in the camp between him and an Israelite. The son of the Israelite woman blasphemed the name with a curse, so they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Debri the Danite. Okay, so name is spelled with a capital N, and so this is talking about Yahweh. Verse 12, they put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be made clear to them. I thought God had already told them, anybody who blasphemes God is to be put to death, which is a really steep penalty. I mean, fuck. I say fuck and God all the time, you know. Anyway, verse 13, then the Lord said to Moses, take the blasphemer outside the camp. All those who heard him are to lay their hands on his head, and the entire assembly is to stone him. Right. Sure. There's according to the Exodus account, which is total bullshit, there's 600,000 men who left Egypt, right? Just the men. We're not talking about women and children, because they don't count. We're talking about men only. So, anyway, So yeah, good luck getting 600,000 plus around that guy. No way. Verse 15. Say to the Israelites, anyone who curses their God will be held responsible. Anyone who blasphemes the name of the Lord is to be put to death. The entire assembly must stone them, whether foreigner or native born, whether they blaspheme. When they blaspheme the name, they are to be put to death. Fuck Yahweh. Is that blasphemous enough? Well, golly gee willikers. I didn't get struck down. God damn it. So anyway, verse 17, anyone who takes the life of a human being is to be put to death. Anyone who takes the life of someone's animal must make restitution, life for life. Anyone who injures their neighbor is to be injured in the same manner. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. The one who has inflicted the injury must suffer the same injury. That is bullshit. Total bullshit. I mean, what if, the guy who inflicted the injury accidentally inflicted the injury, and then you're going to go ahead and say, well, you injured this person and accidentally put out his eye, so now we're going to purposely put out your eye. Fuck you, Yahweh. Verse 21. Whoever kills an animal must make restitution, but whoever kills a human being is to be put to death. You are to have the same law for the foreigner and the native born. I am the Lord your God. Then Moses spoke to the Israelites, and they took the blasphemer outside the camp and stoned him. The Israelites did as the Lord commanded Moses. Chapter 25. The Lord said to Moses, at Mount Sinai, speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land I am going to give you, the land itself must observe a Sabbath to the Lord. For 6 years sow your fields, and for 6 years prune your vineyards and gather their crops. But in the 7th year the land is to have a year of Sabbath rest, Sabbath to the Lord. Do not sow your fields or prune your vineyards. This never, ever, ever happened. There was never a Sabbath year kept. And why should there be? I mean, for fuck's sake. This is true, Marianne. For fuck's sake, what are they supposed to do? Go hungry during that year? Verse 5. Do not reap what grows of itself, or harvest the grapes of your untended vines. The land is to have a year of rest. Whatever the land yields during the Sabbath year will be food for you, for yourself, your male and female servants, and the hired worker and temporary resident who lives among you, as well as for your livestock and the wild animals in your land. Whatever the land produces, may be eaten. Hey, Anzixon, you know, God, the land ain't gonna produce much if it's not tended. Verse 8. Count off 7 Sabbath years, 7 times 7 years, so that the 7 Sabbath years amount to a period of 49 years. Then have the trumpet sounded everywhere on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the Day of Atonement, sound the trumpet throughout your land. Obviously, this never happened in either. Verse 10. Consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land. To all its inhabitants it shall be a jubilee for you. Each of you is to return to your family and property and to your own clan. The 50th year shall be a jubilee for you. Do not sow and do not reap what grows of itself, or harvest the intended vines, for it is a jubilee, and it is to be holy for you. Eat only what is taken directly from the fields. Whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. Yes, nevermore. So, like, you can do corn, and then, like, maybe another year you'll do something else, and rotate your crops, and not, you know, just let it sit. That's like the worst thing you can do. Verse 13. In this year of Jubilee, everyone is to return to their own property. That would be a fucking mess. If you sell land to any of your own people or buy land from them, do not take advantage of each other. Oh, but you can take advantage of foreigners, huh? Verse 15. You are to buy from your own people on the basis of the number of years since the Jubilee, and they are to sell to you on the basis of the number of years left for harvesting crops. I have no idea what the fuck that means. Verse 16. When the years are many, you are to increase the price, and when the years are few, you are to decrease the price, because what is really being sold to you is the number of crops. Do not take advantage of each other, but fear your God. I am the Lord your God. Follow my decrees and be careful to obey my laws, and you will live safely in the land. Nope. I wish nevermore. Verse 19. Then the land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill and live there in safety. Well, he broke that promise, didn't he? Yep, he sure did. You may ask, what will we eat in the 7th year if we do not plant or harvest our crops? I will send you such a blessing in the 6th year that the land will yield enough for 3 years. While you plant during the 8th year, you will eat from the old crop and will continue to eat from it until the harvest of the 9th year comes in. That's just fucking ridiculous. Especially in this time, crops don't last that long. Yeah, nevermore. And the Christians want to give you some shitty response like, "Oh, well, fear means respect." No, it doesn't. Give me a fucking break. No, it doesn't. It means exactly what it says. Fear. Verse 23. The land must not be sold permanently, because the land is mine, and you reside in my land as foreigners and strangers. Can you say inferiority complex? That's it. God has an inferiority complex. I mean, he's got to have an inferiority complex. It's always mine, 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 mine. Do as I say, not as I do. I can kill anybody the fuck I want, but you can't. I can genocide anybody I want, but you can't. Verse 24. Throughout the land that you hold as a possession, you must provide for the redemption of the land. I have no idea what that means. No fucking clue what that means. I know, right, Azixan? Uh, Verse 25. If one of your fellow Israelites becomes poor and sells some of their property, their nearest relative is to come and redeem what they have sold. If, however, there's no one to redeem it for them, but later on they prosper and acquire sufficient means to redeem it themselves, they are to determine the value for the years since they sold it and refund the balance to the one to whom they sold it. They can then go back to their own property. But if they do not acquire the means to repay, what was sold will remain in the possession of the buyer until the year of Jubilee. It will be returned in the Jubilee, and they can then go back to their property. Doesn't make any sense. Makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. Basically, to bring it into modern day equivalence, that would be like saying every 50 years your credit card debt is wiped clean. So, you know, doesn't make any sense. Verse 30. If it is not redeemed before a full year has passed, the house in the walled city shall belong permanently to the buyer and the buyer's descendants. It is not to be returned in the Jubilee. But houses in villages without walls around them are to be considered as belonging to the open country. They can be redeemed, and they are to be returned in the Jubilee. The Levites always have the right to redeem their houses in the Levitical towns which they possess. So the property of the Levites is redeemable. That is, a house sold in any town they hold and is to be returned in the Jubilee, because the houses and the towns of the Levites are their property among the Israelites. This is what I said last week. I think it was last week. You know, this favors the Levites. This doesn't have anything to do with God. Fuck God. This has to do with the priests. The priests are living large on this shit. Verse 35, if any of your fellow Israelites become poor and are unable to support themselves among you, help them as you would help a foreigner and stranger, so they can continue to live among you. Do not take interest or any profit from them, but fear your God, so that they may continue to live among you. You must not lend them money at interest or sell them food at a profit. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. If any of your fellow Israelites become poor and sell themselves to you, do not make them work as slaves. They are to be treated as hired workers or temporary residents among you. They are to work for you until the year of Jubilee. Then they and their children are to be released, and they will go back to their own clans and to the property of their ancestors, because the Israelites are my servants, whom I brought up out of Egypt. They must not be sold as slaves. Do not rule over them ruthlessly, but fear your God. Yes, my people, I would rather have fear than love. Because, as everyone knows, if you fear me, you aren't going to do anything to piss me off. Hey, junk shop. Honey. Verse 38. I am the Lord your God who brought you. Already said. Okay. Verse 41. Then they and their children are to be released, and they will go back to their own clans and to the property of their ancestors. Because the Israelites are my servants whom I brought up out of Egypt, they must not be sold as slaves. Do not rule over them ruthlessly, but fear your God. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. Again, God doesn't have any problem with slaves. Another thing that apologists don't get or don't want to get, I don't understand which it is. They probably don't want to get it. God has no fucking problem with slavery, people. No fucking problem with slavery. They just can't be Israelites, okay? Verse 44. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country. They will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them as slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. If a foreigner residing among you becomes rich, and any of your fellow Israelites becomes poor, and sells themselves to the foreigner or to a member of the foreigner's clan, they retain the right of redemption after they have sold themselves. One of their relatives may redeem them. An uncle or a cousin or any blood relative in their clan may redeem them. Or if they prosper, they may redeem themselves. They and their buyer are to count the time from the year they sold themselves up to the year of Jubilee. The price for their release is to be based on the rate paid to a hired worker for that number of years. If many years remain, they must pay for their redemption a larger share of the price paid for them. If only a few years remain until till the year of Jubilee, they are to compute that and pay for their redemption accordingly. They are to be treated as workers hired from year to year. You must see to it that those to whom they owe service do not rule over them ruthlessly. Even if someone is not redeemed in any of these ways, they and their children are to be released in the year of Jubilee, for the Israelites belong to me as servants. They are my servants, whom I brought out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Again, we have the me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. I am great. I am your God. I am your Lord. I am blah, 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 blah. Did I say fuck you, Yahweh, yet? Chapter 26. Do not make idols or set up an image or sacred stone for yourselves, and do not place a carved stone in your land to bow down before it. I am the Lord your God. Observe my Sabbaths and have reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you follow my decrees and are careful to obey my commands, I will send you rain in its season, and the ground will yield its crops and the trees their fruit. Your threshing will continue until grape harvest, and the grape harvest will continue until planting, and you will eat all the food you want and live in safety in your land. Sure. God obviously doesn't know about rain cycles. I will grant peace in the land. Uh, not even. Not fucking even. Peace. Them people never had peace over there, not even today. Shit, what are you talking about? I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down, and no one will make you afraid. I will remove wild beasts from the land, and the sword will not pass through your country. I have yet to see that. You will pursue your enemies, and they will fall by the sword before you. 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will chase 10,000, and your enemies will fall by the sword before you. I would laugh, but I don't want to hurt myself. Seriously. I will look on you with favor and make you fruitful and increase your numbers, and I will keep my covenant with you. You will still be eating last year's harvest when you will have to move it out to make room for the new. That's just wasteful. Not to mention the fact, not true, because in this time, they pretty much had to save everything they could for hard times. Verse 13, I am the Lord your God who brought you up out of Egypt so that you would no longer be slaves to the Egyptians. I broke the bars of your yoke and enabled you to walk with heads held high. The Israelites were never slaves in Egypt, at least not en masse, like the Bible says. Hell, the Israelites aren't even descended from one man, like the Bible says. They're an indigenous Canaanite movement. For more on the subject, see my Emergence of Israel series. Verse 14, but if you will not listen to me and carry out all these commands, and if you reject my decrees and abhor my laws and fail to carry out all my commands and so violate my covenant, then I will do this to you. I will bring on you sudden terror, wasting diseases and fever that will destroy your sight and sap your strength. You will plant seed in vain because your enemies will eat it. I will set my face against you so that you will be defeated by your enemies. Those who hate you will rule over you, and you will flee even when no one is pursuing you. If after all this you will not listen to me, I will punish you for your sins 7 times over. I will break down your stubborn pride and make the sky above you like iron and the ground beneath you like bronze. Your strength will be spent in vain because your soil will not yield its crops, nor will the trees of your land yield their fruit. Gee, God, why don't you just punish an entire people for a handful of people's quote unquote sins, which, by the way, doesn't even exist? God damn it. Quit trying to make people feel guilty for being human beings. But I guess then you wouldn't be that fucking idiot God of the Christians, now would you? If you weren't trying to make people feel guilty for being themselves. No wonder the Christians are assholes. They serve an asshole God. Hey, Gene Walker. Verse 21, if you remain hostile toward me and refuse to listen to me, I will multiply your affliction 7 times over as your sins deserve. Well, God, if the Adam and Eve story is true, which it isn't, but, and I'm talking to God like he's a real person, which he isn't. But, if you hadn't fucking planted that fucking tree in the middle of the fucking garden, then we wouldn't have this problem now, would we? Verse 22, I will send wild animals against you, and they will rob you of your children, destroy your cattle, and make you so few in number that your roads will be deserted. That is a bit overkill, don't you think, God? That is a bit overkill. I mean, good Lord. Jesus fucking Christ. You're a drama queen already. As Logic said in one of his Kent Hovind videos, your God is such a drama queen. He killed himself over being betrayed 4,000 years earlier. You'll have to go see the Logic Kent Hovind series to get that if you haven't seen it already. That's a pretty goddamn funny series, by the way. Verse 23, if in spite of these things you do not accept my correction, but continue to be hostile toward me, I myself will be hostile toward you and will afflict you for your sins 7 times over. Of course we're going to be fucking hostile toward you, fucking asshole. Verse 25, and I will bring the sword on you to avenge the breaking of the covenant. When you withdraw into your cities, I will send a plague among you, and you will be given into enemy hands. When I cut off your supply of bread, 10 women will be able to bake your bread in one oven, and they will dole out the bread by weight. You will eat, but you will not be satisfied. If, in spite of this, you still do not listen to me, but continue to be hostile toward me, then in my anger I will be hostile towards you. You already said that, God. And I myself will punish you for your sins 7 times over. You already said that too. You will eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters. That is disgusting. Seriously, God. Isn't it enough that Christians have to eat the flesh of your son and drink the blood of your son? Verse 30, I will destroy your high places, cut down your incense altars, and paw your dead bodies on the lifeless forms of your idols, and I will abhor you. I will turn your cities into ruins and lay waste your sanctuaries, and I will take no delight in the pleasing aroma of your offerings. I myself will lay waste the land, so that your enemies who live there will be appalled. I will scatter you among the nations, and will draw out my sword and pursue you. Your land will be laid waste, and your cities will lie in ruins. Then the land will enjoy its Sabbath years all the time that it lies desolate. And you are in the country of your enemies. Then the land will rest and enjoy its Sabbaths all the time that it lies desolate. The land will have the rest it did not have during the Sabbaths you lived in it. Okay, so if I remember correctly, and I may not be remembering correctly, so I'm not 100% sure on this. But if I remember correctly, this was written during the post-exilic period. And if that is the case, then we've got the 490 years, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's in like Ezekiel, Daniel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, those people. Anyway, we'll get there. I'm doing a series right now on the book of Daniel. But we'll get there. I believe that is what this is talking about. This is like giving a reason as to, why they're in Babylon for so long. Verse 36. As for those of you who are left, I will make their hearts so fearful in the lands of their enemies that the sound of a wind-blown leaf will put them to flight. They will run as though fleeing from the sword, and they will fall even though no one is pursuing them. They will stumble over one another as though fleeing from the sword, even though no one is pursuing them. So you will not be able to stand before your enemies. You will perish among the nations. The land of your enemies will devour you. Those of you who are left will waste away in the lands of your enemies because of their sins. Also, because of their ancestors' sins, they will waste away. Okay. God, you just said that no man will suffer for the father's sin. And now you are changing your fucking mind. Make it up already. Are they going to suffer for the father's sin, or are they going to suffer for their own sin? Or do you not know? Are you just making shit up as you go along? Okay, bye, Marianne. But if they will confess their sins and the sins of their ancestors, their unfaithfulness and their hostility toward me, which made me hostile toward them, so that I sent them into the land of their enemies. Then when their uncircumcised hearts are humbled, and they pay for their sin, I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and my covenant with Isaac, and my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land, for the land will be deserted by them, and will enjoy its Sabbaths while it lies desolate without them. They will pay for their sins, because they rejected my laws and abhorred my decrees. Yet in spite of this, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them or abhor them, so as to destroy them completely, breaking my covenant with them. Make up your fucking mind, God. Are you going to leave them to their, you know, to the wiles of their imagination, or are you going to be with them? Make up your fucking mind. Verse 45. But for their sake I will remember the covenant with their ancestors, whom I brought out of Egypt in the sight of the nations, to be their God. I am the Lord. These are the decrees, the laws, and the regulations that the Lord established at Mount Sinai between himself and the Israelites through Moses. Bullshit. Chapter 27. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, if anyone makes a special vow to dedicate a person to the Lord by giving the equivalent value, set the value of a male between the ages of 20 and 60 at 50 shekels of silver, according to the sanctuary shekel. For a female, set her value at 30 shekels." Again, misogyny. How many times do I have to say this book is filled with misogyny? Yeah, a female is worth half as much as a male. Damn. I know, right, Junk Shop? Verse 5. For a person between the ages of 5 and 20, set the value of a man at 20 shekels, and of the female at 10 shekels. This is just wrong on so many levels. For a person between 1 month and 5 years, set the value of a male at 5 shekels of silver, and that of a female at 3 shekels of silver. For a person 60 years old or more, set the value of a male at 15 shekels, and of a female at 10 shekels. If anyone making the vow is too poor to pay the specified amount, the person being dedicated is to be presented to the priest, who will set the value according to what the one making the vow can afford. If what they vowed is an animal that is acceptable as an offering to the Lord, such an animal given to the Lord becomes holy. They must not exchange it or substitute a good one for a bad one, or a bad one for a good one. If they should substitute one animal for another, both it and the substitute become holy. If what they vowed is ceremonially unclean animal, one that is not acceptable as an offering to the Lord, the animal must be presented to the priest, who will judge its quality as good or bad. Whatever quality the priest then sets, that is what it will be. If the owner wishes to redeem the animal a fifth must be added to its value. Little more to go, not much. Verse 14. If anyone dedicates their house as something holy to the Lord, the priest will judge its quality as good or bad. Whatever value the priest then sets, so it will remain. If the one who dedicates their house wishes to redeem it, they must add a fifth to its value, and the house will again become theirs. Why? Why? It's their own goddamn fucking house. Verse 16. If anyone dedicates to the Lord part of their family land, its value is to be set according to the amount of seed required for it. 50 shekels of silver to a homer of barley seed. If they dedicate a field during the year of Jubilee, the value that has been set remains. But if they dedicate a field after the Jubilee, the priest will determine the value according to the number of years that remain until the next year of Jubilee, and its set value will be reduced. If the one who dedicated the field wishes to redeem it, they must add a fifth to its value, and the field will again become theirs. If, however, they do not redeem the field, or if they have sold it to someone else, it can never be redeemed. When the field is released in the Jubilee, it will become holy, like a field devoted to the Lord. It will become a priestly property. If anyone dedicates to the Lord a field they have bought, which is not part of their family land, the priest will determine its value up to the year of Jubilee, and the owner must pay its value on that day as something holy to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee, the field will revert to the person from whom it was bought, the one whose land it was. Every value is to be set according to the sanctuary shekel, 20 gerahs to the shekel. No one, however, may dedicate the firstborn of an animal, since the firstborn already belongs to the Lord. Whether an ox or a sheep, it is the Lord's. If it is one of the unclean animals, it may be bought back at its set value, adding a fifth to the value to it. If it is not redeemed, it is to be sold at its set value. Why? Why the fuck do they have to redeem it plus a fifth? It's their own fucking animals. Verse 28. But nothing that a person owns and devotes to the Lord, whether a human being or an animal or family land, may be sold or redeemed. Everything so devoted is most holy to the Lord. No person devoted to destruction may be ransomed. They are to be put to death. Nice to know, God. Nice to know. Verse 30, a tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord. Whoever would redeem any of their tithe must add a fifth of the value to it. Every tithe of the herd and flock, every 10th animal that passes under the shepherd's rod will be holy to the Lord. No one may pick out the good from the bad or make any substitution. If anyone does make a substitution, both the animal and its substitute become holy and cannot be redeemed. These are the commands the Lord gave Moses at Mount Sinai for the Israelites, and thank good fucking Lord Almighty, because there is no such a person, that we are done with the fucking book of Leviticus. And Zixon, you are definitely right about that. Makes no fucking sense. Like most of the rest of the book. Makes no fucking sense. Excuse me. So anyway, sorry. I decided to do this a little bit early. I didn't get much sleep last night. And I thought, well, if I wanted to go maybe take a nap or something, then I wouldn't have to get up. So anyway. Right, Junk Shop? Hashtag more smite. So anyway, so I will see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for putting up with all that shit and all that nonsense. And we've got Numbers next. And Numbers is boring as shit. Junk Shop, you're in the good part. You're in the part where people are tripping on LSD and mushrooms. I'm in the boring part right now. So, oh, you're welcome, Gene Walker. Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that some Christians are gonna come here. Probably not, because I use fuck a lot in these. I don't use fuck. I don't use any curse words in my educational videos, which are the edited videos. But I do use curse words here because I could not get through this shit if I didn't. So you guys have a nice day. Junk Shop, if you are having a live stream today, if I am up, I will be there. So Junk Shop Library has a channel. You guys go subscribe to him if you're not already. He's kind of funny. He's a lot funnier than I am. So anyway. Thanks, Gene. So anyway, alrighty. I'll talk to you later. And you have a wonderful rest of your day. All social media links are in the description. And see you guys next time. Don't forget, tomorrow, Atheist Church, 4 p.m. Book of Mormon today. Okay. Bye, Junk Shop. Bye, everyone.